Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the SU-14-2. It's the Tier 8 Soviet SPG. This one's located on the south spawn of Murovanka, and it's under the command of 73north. Yes, 3 videos featuring 73north, who would have thought? Anyway, this is a derivation of the SU-14-1, which you may have seen in the last video. It's just basically the same vehicle with a cover over the gun. It does have a radio station as well, which they thought was rather important. And there's one of these at the Tank Museum at Kubinka in Moscow. Yes, if you want to go and see this, they still have one. Quite a big green beast it is. Okay, it's armed with the BR or B4 howitzer. I can tell you that right away because that is the short barrel. The long barrel would be the 152 BR2. So he's aiming down range. No enemy in sight yet, but there will be. Now he's capable with this barrel of 900 alpha, 52 millimeters of pin, 10.4 meters on the burst radius, 12.5 to 28 seconds. And a lure suddenly come into sight. He's not adjusting for it just yet. There seems to be a lot of shells going at that lure, but there's also 2 other tanks nearby, and there's the one he was waiting for. Oh! Direct hit on a 705 who pushed past the IS-3A, and both of them suffered as a result. They both got stunned, and he did pick up stun assist off the 705 who took a round afterwards. Now the standard reload for the SU-14-2 with the big gun is 42.19 seconds. He's got a reload of 34.17. And then another one goes in, and the lure, it looked like the lure got rid of his stun fairly quickly. But it was the IS-3A that's taking damage, and we got a big chunk of stun assist off the IS-3A, so that is helpful. Now, they didn't build many of this Arty. In fact, there's only 2 of them built, as far as we know. And they were actually built off a T-35A, was it T-35? Which is a heavy tank the Soviets built during the 30s, which wasn't very good. They were so big, though, that they could be used as command stations. In fact, that's what the Germans did. They captured them and then turned them into command stations or command tanks, which will keep the crews safe, or the generals safe. Well, the IS-3 is no more, and we've got even more stun assist than we had before. And it's now beginning to look a very good battle, even though there's only 1 tank died on either side. Far more of the enemy's hit points have gone than on our team. I say far more, it was far more, until somebody fired a round from their end. Going to try and hit the ground near him, and it's another direct hit. The IS-3 this time took the direct hit. He's been aiming for the ground to try and get splash, but instead he's actually been getting direct hits on the targets. It's almost like RNG is on his side. The enemy is trying to push across the gap. There we show the gap. You can see very difficult to get shells over that ridgeline into the IS-3 or the 705, but it should be possible on the M103, even though he's pushing the wreck there. Yes, he got stunned. It would have been easier to get shots on the M103. In fact, that guy's now gone down. But they are still pushing through, and that's going to be their undoing. In fact, we can see the IS-3 did get killed. So they are losing tanks, but so are we on our team. We've effectively lost the magic forest, so to speak. Our guys are right on the outskirts, and they have it the middle. That was to try and splash the Waffenträger and the Guerilla 15. It's a tier 10 game with tier 8 tanks, so we've got plenty of XP to gain, because of course, as you know, every time you hit a tier 10 tank, you get 20% extra from a tier 8 Arty. FV4005, the Heshbarn, very susceptible to Arty rounds if they hit the turret. He loses sight of it though. Oh, he's come back. So now would be a good time to aim at the Heshbarn, but he's going for the Waffenträger instead. And he does get hit points off that guy, 358. And I think we've just seen where the enemy RT is. We saw the tracer. Waffenträger just provided us even more stun assist because, of course, he was damaged while he was still stunned. So, very good game for our team. We're 2 up on the enemy now. They are starting to suffer. And there's the Gorilla 15. Now, we're almost loaded. We should be able to get around in there. And we do. And it stunned him, and we're getting some more stun assists. So, superb game. 4,400 on stun assists already. That's almost guaranteed an ace tanker. The SU-14-2 is not very fast as an Arty. It's only 13 kilometers an hour. But it is fairly accurate because it's got a very thin, narrow arc of fire. And he splashed the guy, stunned him. Our TNH is moving in. Unfortunately, though, he's low on hit points as well. Ideally, we need to get a shot in on that Gorilla 15. There's the tree going down. That's a good indication the guy is still there. And unfortunately, our TNH did get killed. Actually, by the Centurion. So we're swapping targets. Our guys are going up the east side now. They've recaptured the Magic Forest, so to speak. Now, we do have a tank right next door to us at the moment who really hasn't been doing anything in this game so far. It's the IS-3. Now, I get the feeling that's an inexperienced player, and they were just hiding at the back in their sense to actually pick up XP from other players when they win the game. Okay, target, Waffenträger, right at the other end. Rounds out, bit of a snapshot, but he needed to get it in. Oh my god, he got a fantastic shot. RNG said yes, and for once, and he got 545 from a direct hit on the Waffenträger. That's superb. It was bit snap, but he knew that Waffenträger was moving, and he needed to slow the guy down so it didn't harm any of our other guys. He knew that it was a good chance that he would lose sight of the target if he didn't get a shot off there and then, and it worked. Okay, we've got the Centurion moving in on our standard B, who's hiding behind a wreck. Even though Arty's trying to lob a round in, now we can fire. Rounds out. Well, the Centurion did get the kill, but unfortunately the standard B was lost, but he did get hit, and now he's vulnerable as well. So it's 4 versus 4. Both teams have got an Arty. We've got 2 heavy tanks, although one of them is inactive, or AFK you might say. The other heavy tank is up the other end of our map at the moment, and that happens to be the T-34. 120mm armed, 400 alpha. A premium tank. Actually quite good, very similar to the T-29. Most of the enemy tanks will think we're still in the same position where the IS-3 is at the moment. And if they do try to come for our cap area, they might make the mistake of running into him, and he'll then spot for us as we try to tackle that team. The other tank on our team is the Standard B. He's sitting at the bottom of the Magic Forest. They've both got nearly full hit points. So it's the T-34 who's the bravest because he's actually going in on the enemy cap area. And it appears that the enemy has moved, because he's not getting spotted. So I think the enemy's moved away. Their Arty might still be up there. They've got an M40, M43. Might be useful for the T-34 to go behind the Centurion 1, or behind that Standard B that we saw. Use it as cover. Instead, he's gone to the cap point, and that's the bad news, because that tells the enemy where he is. Or at least it tells where one of our tanks is. And the Standard B should be supporting him, and he's not. He should be up the other end of the map. He should be providing the cover fire for the T-34. So he's pre-aiming near the cap point. Obviously, it's easier to aim where you think the enemy's going to be. And in this sense, we do know that... Oh, and there's their Panther 2. Right, okay, so he was pre-aiming in the general area, and now we've got a target. Okay, he's lining one up, rounds out. Direct hit! Good shot, 325. And, yeah, we're getting more stun assist. Panther 2 didn't like that. He had to move to cover. Unfortunately, he wiped us out. Wiped out our T-34, rather. So... it's now 3 versus 4. This is going to make it much more difficult. The IS-3 is now moving north. Is the Standard B going to do the same? I would hope so. It's not exactly helpful that that T-34 had to go into the cap uncovered. If the Standard B had been up there, he might have actually been able to do something. In fact, that was fired into where we think the M40, M43 was at the other end of the map. But now we can see where the Guerrilla 15 and the Panther 2 are. The Guerrilla 15 first, because that's the most dangerous. Oh, not what we wanted to see. The Guerrilla 15 just wiped out our IS-3. And it sounded very much like an ammo rack. And that was a blind shot. It's looking like they're trying for a draw now. The enemy might still be trying for a win, but they must realize that we're going to be sending shells in to reset them, and they've only got 2.5 minutes to go. Unless they can get 3 in the cap simultaneously. I'd be very much inclined to actually get into the Magic Forest, but the fact is now that that Panther 2's just turned up nearby. There he is. He's got that building covering him, but they've got nobody in the cap yet. Standard B should be able to get spots for us. Go for it. That's a direct hit and kill. And although they're starting to cap, and they've got both in the cap, they can cap out. But if we get one reset, they are stuffed. So now the Standard B needs to go in and spot, or we need to find the right spot to fire at. We've got 1 round of HE left. We need to be very, very accurate. The enemy tanks are more than likely going to be in those bushes. And he got a direct hit and a reset. And that now makes it possible for them to win. But we've got no ammo to play with. So now all we need to do is hide. Because, well, it's up to the Standard B to do the job, and he's not moving. He's just not moving. So if we lose this game, it's all down to him. And I'm afraid it is going to be a loss. Standard B should be ashamed of himself. is the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for 73 North of the SU-14-2. He managed to get an ace tanker. He got his second mark of excellence out of that game. He got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 14. And he got a gauze medal as well for doing 8 times the hit points for his own vehicle in damage. His win rate from that one, 5,364. But sadly, it was a loss. So he was performing well over the standard, but that standard B was absolutely appalling. If you're inexperienced and you don't know how to handle your tank, tell your team that you are, and then, they'll tell you where you can go to be useful. But you don't just ignore an enemy cap that's capping. There's a possible defender medal there if you go in and put shells in, and with a standard B and auto reloader, you should be able to get resets on both of the enemy tanks and possibly even take them out. But no, he just sat there at the edge. At least the IS-3 that sat at the back of the map, at least he did go into action. Excuse me. But that standard B, terrible. Anyway, let's have a look at the team score. The highest damage in this game actually belonged to the Object 2684. That was the 4,958 hit points of damage. Second highest was the TNH T-Biz 51, 4,290. And in third place is actually the Heshpan on the enemy team, 3,824 hit points. When it came to kills, or when it came to 73 North, he got 3,446 hit points rather out of that game, which actually puts him in 5th place overall on damage. When it came to kills, we can see top scorers were the Object 268 version 4, the Gorilla 15 on our team, then the Gorilla 15 on the enemy team, and the Centurion 1. And we can see that 73 North got 2 kills, so did the IS-2-2 on our team, and the Heshpan on the enemy team also got 2 kills. When it came to base XP, it was 73 North who came out on highest on our team, 877, but the highest overall was, in fact, the M40, M43 on the enemy team. He got 915 base experience points, 869, which is the third highest, went to the Gorilla 15 on the enemy team. So he did get second place when it came to base XP. And on the losing team, that's very, very good indeed. Let's have a look at the detail. 16 shots fired, that all of his ammo, got 6 direct hits, 1 penetrating shot, and 16 splash. Damage of 3,446, all of it at more than 300 meters. Now, the penetrating shot was probably the Waffenträger. Yes, it was. It went right through his armor. That was that snapshot, take it now or lose it. And he put a shell up and it went right through the target. So very nice one. He also got 16 splashes, 3,446, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damaged 9 of the enemy, killed 2 of them, and did 4,828 hit points of stun assist off 15 stuns. He actually managed to get a reset for 38 defense points, and he also picked up 57,579 credits profit, including Courageous Resistance, and that's for the Gauze medal. And he also took away 2,077 experience points out of that game as well. But sadly, it was a loss. And, I think that the loss came about because the IS-3 sat at the back for so long, didn't go up to try and help the T-34. And the standard B, well, he was even more appalling because if he'd been helping that T-34, he would have been able to stop the enemy getting shots on him to take him out. In fact, it would have been better if all of those tanks had just sat around our own cap and waited for the enemy to come, because then they would have been able to get a hail of fire on the enemy. But that standard B, I'm so angry about that, because this sort of gameplay should be out of the game. And there's the one. That's the one that was still alive at the end of the game. His win rate was 318. He only fired 3 shots, got 2 direct hits, 2 penetrations. So he did earn some hit points of damage, but he didn't do anything at the end to help them get a draw or even to get a win out of it. So yes, this is one player that I think we all ought to avoid and blacklist, to ensure that if they do appear in your game, that you know that they are a dangerous player, or at least they're going to ruin the game for you if they're on your team. So there you go. That's the SU-14-2 for you. Congratulations on getting the second mark at least. That was something you took out of the game. If you enjoyed that replay, please give it a like and do subscribe to our channel. And thank you for watching.